Happy Friday. This is the third week of Lent. So, how's that going for you? Has Lent been a time of clearing away all the things that get in between you and God? Or has it been as full of distractions as life usually is? Our culture is action-oriented, and the pressure to do is immense. And as Christians, we feel additional pressure because we're aware that God would have us commit our lives to doing what gives life for ourselves and for others. We know there is more to do that would lift others in love than we can possibly do. Lent is a good time to remember that our capacity to lift others is only multiplied when God's love does the lifting. A verse that continually refocuses me on letting God work through me is Micah 6:8. He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? God asks us to do things, but only this thing: do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with our God. To do justice and even to love kindness involves acts of service. Yesterday, I listed acts of service as one of the 5 love languages, one of the 5 ways we lift others in love. We can be busy with acts of service that come from our human capacity to love. And that's a good thing. It's a thing that God created in us. It is good in and of itself. We can do things that are good for others. But when combined with walking humbly with our God, those actions take on a power beyond our own capacity. We can lift others in love, or we can let God's love lift others through us. In many ways, the key message in this verse is found in the words, your God. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? You see, we cannot walk humbly with God unless God actually is our God, unless we have relationship with God. Otherwise, we start choosing our direction and expecting God to just come along. During the next season in the life of our church, you will start hearing about a vision for the future, a vision, an articulation of what we see ahead of us, a picture of who we are now and who God is helping us to become as a congregation. If we walk humbly with our God, then that vision, that awareness of who God is calling us to be, will determine the things we decide to do. It won't be our plan as much as our discernment of God's plan. We do know a lot about who we are and what we currently do to lift others. One part of who we are is that we have been given much, and we want to be a grateful and generous people. So we do justice. For example, a number of us participate in Rebels with a Cause and Dallas Area Interfaith. We do acts of service. We lift our neighbors in love via care ministries like our neighborhood connection groups. We lift others via our support of partner ministries like Network of Community Ministries and North Dallas Shared Ministries and Storehouse of Collin County and so many others. We do generosity. We give of our time and money in things like tomorrow's sock and underwear drive for our neighbors in need, and gifts of appreciation for our frontline medical workers in the service project coming up on Saturday the 20th. And even as Jesus knew, There will always be more to do. I'm convinced that one reason we don't do more justice and kindness is because we aren't sure what is ours to do. What is God's direction for us? How do we humbly walk in it? I am looking for a few folks who want to help discern God's plan for our generosity in service and giving in the future. So during Lent, the rest of Lent, will you ask God whether God's plan is for you to be a part of that discernment? And if so, will you let me know? I hope to see you tomorrow and on the 20th as we lift others in love through acts of service. And now may God's love work through you in doing justice and loving kindness and walking humbly with your God. Amen.